Melissa Reiner here with Episode Insights from the pilot episode, Season 1, Episode 1 of The Good Doctor. We see Sean has saved a child's life. We see he goes to the hospital. Claire receives this child and is hitting Sean with a barrage of questions. And he's not responsive. And only once she shifts her approach and stops asking him questions and simply states that she doesn't know why he felt that the patient needed the echocardiogram, only then is Sean able to engage in a productive way. This is because, and this is what I shared with the writers and the directors and the producers and the actors, that when we ask questions, even innocuous questions, it's met with an anxiety response. It spikes heart rate and blood pressure. But when we don't ask a question or we don't give a command, we see instead that when we use I statements, we state what we see using declarative communication, there is no anxiety response. And that is why the interaction ends up to be a successful one. Melissa Reiner here with Episode Insights from Season 1, Episode 2, Mount Rushmore. After the entirety of the season was over in Season 1, Aaron Gunn and David Shore reached out to me and said, we love your enthusiasm and all of your input, but can you give us more criticism? Can you really help us in that area? And I said, why, of course I shall. But it was interesting because this episode was exactly why it's so hard to do that, because it was so powerful seeing these flashbacks with Sean and his brother and how that related to current day with him knocking on the door and riding in the car with the girl whose life he saved. It's hard to critique. What did someone once say? It's hard to improve upon perfection. Anyway, more to come in future episodes, but there were no notes for this episode. It was that good. Melissa Reiner here with Episode Insights from The Good Doctor. This is Season 1, Episode 3, Oliver, oh liver. And we see throughout this episode where Claire is so interested in trying to figure out how to talk to Sean, and she asks Glassman, and she is sort of just riddling him with questions, and he's not responding. And finally, after their police escort and the 7-Eleven visit, she says, oh, you answer when I don't ask. And this goes back to and harkens back to the understanding that I talked about previously, where when we ask questions and give commands, we often see that the recipient of this interaction is experiencing an anxiety response and might either shut down or become explosive. And so he doesn't answer until she really starts using these I statements. And then he's totally able to answer adeptly, effectively, and successfully. Melissa Reiner here with Episode Insights from Season 1, Episode 4, entitled Pipes. And I love that the way in which Sean needed to fix the dripping faucet was to make sure that it was dripping, but in the same frequency of dripping as in his home in Casper. I just think that's monumentally amazing, and I love that. And, you know, the bar scene at the end, the writers and the producers asked me what I thought sort of might be going on for him in that moment. And I think, like, for me, I know, and for so many of us, sometimes when we're in this sort of overwhelming, noisy, socially complicated environment, we all turn inward, and we often feel isolated even while surrounded by so many. I think everyone experiences something like that in situations exactly like that. Melissa Reiner here with Episode Insights. This is Season 1, Episode 5.3%. So you don't always get everything that you ask for. And I had talked to the writers at length about how I was not so comfortable with Sean's sort of doppelganger of his little brother, asking him all these questions when he's getting his scan. He says, are you married? Do you have a girlfriend? Do you have a boyfriend? Who's Leah? Is it a friend you date? Is it a friend with benefits? And he's asking all these questions. And I felt like, given the fact that he was often made uncomfortable and sort of in many ways shut down by having been asked questions, I felt like it was not going to go well. But I think we all decided in the end that given that this was just like his brother Steve, this guy was exactly his same image and personality and everything, that they would let it go and he would respond well to all the questions.